Today I'm Ray.com and this is Ray from Explorer. Okay, welcome here. This is okay. Okay, welcome here. This is Ray from Explorer.com and today I'm gonna talk about what to bring when I'm going, what's in my camera bag when I'm going to Bosnia and Herzegovina in May. For those of you who haven't heard, I'm going to Bosnia and Herzegovina together with a very famous Norwegian war photographer, Morten Wahl, in May, and this is something I'm looking very much forward to. It's a photo trip which is being done by, I think it's the largest photo store in Norway, and I think there will be approximately 10 people going on this trip, and the key purpose of it is to retrace a lot of history and documentary photography when going to Bosnia and Herzegovina, which was ravaged by war, which some probably remember, between 1992 and 1995. I've never been to Bosnia before, and that was partly why I chose to want to go on that trip, but also of course I want to learn more about the art of street photography, documentary photography, and so on and so forth. So I would just like to give you a little video about what I'm going to bring, why and how. And for some of you who have seen my other what's in my camera bag videos before, this will probably seem very similar. But a good thing can't be said too many times. I guess it maybe can, but still I will just try to explain my things. So on the table in front of me here you have the basic layout. I have divided it into 4 different sets of things. You have my camera or my bodies, you have my lenses, and you have everything else thing. In addition to what you see here, I will also of course bring my trusty laptop computer, which I always bring when I go abroad. But first, let's start with a little thing. I haven't actually decided, so I'm going to show you my options. When you're going on primarily a photographic tour, and you will be walking outside, you will be walking in kind of warm weather, you will be doing a lot of exploration, you might be going into places which you don't want to flash, expensive equipment too much, and so on and so forth. A bag doesn't look too photographic-y is important. And I have actually decided I'm going with one of 2. This is my Think Tank Retrospective 20 in green. It doesn't look that much, but it's a totally brilliant camera bag. It can contain quite a lot of gear, and it's very sturdy and very nice to have over your shoulder. I like it very much, and that will be probably my primary choice. It kind of depends a little bit on how much I'm going to bring. That's the one option. The other option is my traditional, I've shown it to you a couple of times before. I got it for Christmas this year or last year. This is a go bag, it's a man bag. It's from Fjellreven. This is primarily made for photography, but still it's an excellent bag. It's a bit more roomy. You can have place for a little bit more, but it doesn't look like you're actually a journalist or something at all. Of course, we will be traveling in a group, and we will be traveling with someone who has lived and resided in Bosnia and Herzegovina, so we will probably not be in any harm's way at all. So it kind of doesn't matter, but still, it's nice to think about it. Okay, so that's the bag. So one of those 2, that is the only thing that I will not bring. Then let's talk a little bit about I think the bodies. What kind of systems will I bring for my trip? I have planning. It's 1.5 months until I will be leaving, but still I have been thinking a lot about what I'm going to bring, where, how, where and why. The first off is that I will bring my primary weapon of choice. That is my trusty 5D Canon 5D Mark III, which I've been used and loved dearly for several years now, and I have had with me almost everywhere. This is a very brilliant camera. I was considering maybe bringing my 60 instead, but yeah, that is just because, like you can see, most of my lenses are for Canon. The second camera I will bring is, of course, my Nikon D810, which I've talked quite a lot about. And when it comes to street photography, it's maybe something of the best I've ever seen. It is touch up. It is a brilliant camera. It's sorry to say, but okay, I'm a Canon fan. I have a lot of Canon gear, but still, when I actually have started now after having it for half a year and having it with me on trips to Australia and so on, it turns my game up a notch. It takes brilliant images. Many people talk about, when you talk about street photography, which would be the primary discipline here, they talk about mirrorless, something small, something compact, these kind of things. This is very, very important. I will also be bringing this. This is my Fuji X100S. I can't praise this little piece of engineering enough. It is a brilliant piece of kit. I especially adore its feature in bad lighting. Very strange actually. I have my DSLRs have a lot better ISO performance than this, but still, it just adds some. It does something right when it comes to colors in night scenes. I don't know what, but they just do. And of course also, if you want to look a little less intimidating than bringing a big DSLR, maybe this is the thing for you. For those of you who have followed my channel, you can look up my shootout. I had a test. I tested in Oslo last year. These three cameras in Oslo. What was the advantage for and against these? And my proposition in beforehand, before I actually did the test, was that this would be much better for street photography because you can kind of conceal what you're doing. For me, I'm a big guy. I weigh 120 kilos, something like that. I'm a big guy, so concealment isn't quite an option for me. So for me, actually, that kind of thing didn't matter that much. What actually had a little bit to say, and one of the reasons why I actually really adore this camera, is that people seem to like the pure look of it. They get friendly just because of the look of it, but it's definitely coming with me, and I will definitely be using it. I will definitely be using it, you can say, when it comes to places where I don't necessarily can bring big cameras. Yeah. So that is my 3 cameras that I will bring. I will also note that I will of course also bring my Canon Legria HF30, which I'm filming this segment on. Of course I can't show you it since I will be filming on it, but I will also bring that camera. Okay, so Before we start talking about lenses, I want to talk about everything else a little bit before. I am a very big fan, I've told you this a lot of times before, I'm a very big fan of the R-strap. The R-strap system is a slingshot system to carry it over your shoulder like this, and you have your camera up and running, you can have both hands free and so on and so forth. The point for me by bringing the slingshot is because I'm used to it. It's very practical, it's very nice, and it actually gives another little thing. It makes you look a little bit more professional. Now, I'm not a professional, it's very important to me to emphasize that, but you make a little bit more professional look, and in some circumstances that can actually help you gain access. I think I told this story before, but a good story can't be told too many times. Last autumn I went to Oktoberfest with some friends and in Munich, and we were at Theresienwiese, the theme park where the big Oktober festival gathering is, and we were like, okay. And we were just wanting to walk around, and we want to go into one of those big party tents, which has like room for 10,000 people, and you just want to see because it was like the first and second day, and we haven't got tickets to go in there those days. And a friend of mine, he pulled out his little point and shoot camera, and he went, and the very authoritative and very nice but firm guard, he just said, okay, one person at a time, and he went in, and I thought, okay, let's try. I pulled out my 5D Mark III with my, I will get back to that, but with my 70-200 big lens, which makes it a rather big camera, and he just looked at me, and he was like, okay, just go inside. I can stand inside, hiding in plain sight, taking pictures, and they had no idea that I was just another tourist for that being. But people came up to me and they were like, oh, what Zeitung, for those of you who don't speak English, German I mean, what newspaper are you from, where can I see your pictures, and all of these things, because it actually, looking professional, looking the part, being polite and all these things will actually help you get the shot you want. So Robert Capa said in the 20s when he was walking around shooting war photography with Ernest Hemingway, if your picture ain't good enough, you aren't close enough. And he definitely have a point there. But okay. So, that was the R-strap. Another thing, these two things here comes in, for me, into the same category. This is a undigitized, just a normal journalist writing pad. This is very handy. For me, I learned this from a trick from a street photographer living in the USA. I saw a YouTube video about this, and one of the nice things with having a pad is, of course, that you can write down where you're going, where you're being, what you're doing, blah blah blah, all these kind of things. That is a very nice feature. But he said a very nice thing. Maybe this is more applicable in the USA than it is in Norway, but or in other countries in Europe especially, is that sometimes you doesn't necessarily always know if you're allowed to take a picture. Especially if you're in countries, or if you're close to military installations, or if you're close to blah blah blah, whatever. But a very nice thing when very nice thing with a notepad is that you can write small notes, you can have it, and if you have one of these notepads which falls over here, you look a little bit, like I mentioned, the point of looking professional. But the thing is that one of the things he said was that one of the things he did was, for instance, that, okay, he wanted to take a picture outside Congress in the USA, in Washington, I mean, outside the Congress building. And there are very strict rules about where you can stand, what you can do, and all those things. And a police officer went over to him, he was standing taking pictures, and he came over to him and he had a nice chat, and he asked him, can I take a picture here? He said, that's fine. And he had just asked him, okay, what's your name, officer? That was Officer Mr. blah blah blah. And he just wrote down, Officer Mr. something, said it was okay for me to take the picture. So if someone should complain because he had bent the rule somewhat later on, he had kind of a written, kind of, it wouldn't probably hold up in court, but at least he had gotten some kind of permission. So, of course, you can use it to get permissions, you can use it to write down people, interesting people you meet, I would use it to write down interesting things that have happened, and so on and so forth. And this is the other thing. This is the Zoom H5. I've shown it to you many, many times, but I still can't live without it. I bought it because of the notion of I was trying to try out the podcasting thing. And I'm not quite successful at that, but okay. The thing is that this Zoom H5 is a handy recorder. That's the name, Zoom H5 handy recorder. But what is handy with it is that I can just read into, like when I went to Australia, I have a book project with a friend of mine, which is writing the book, and I'm providing the stories and the images, and so on. But what I did was that for every single, for every single day, before I went to bed, or early in the morning the next day, I read into this hand recorder what I had experienced that day. It was just a kind of recapping what have happened. And this kind of handy recorder is also nice in other ways. You can use it as external mic on your DSLR or on your camcorder or something. Another, I wouldn't recommend it, but you can still do it. You can use it as a concealed mic. You can have it in your bag, you can have it turned on, and you can just turn off the volume and you can just log everything that is happening. Just make sure that you're not violating anyone's privacy just because you can. That is very important. But of course, if you are, let's say, if we're going into a market or you're going into something a little bit shady or something like that, just have it in your bag, turn off the volume, just, the batteries last for hours. I think you can record for like 10, 20 hours, 10, 12 hours on one single memory card. And yeah, it doesn't matter. You can take everything. So, that is a very nice thing. This is also something I've shown you several times. But a good thing can't be said too many times. This is a colored space hyperdrive UDMI 2. It's starting to get some years, and I'm actually wondering how long it will keep. But this is just a backup unit. As you can see, you have CF storage card, slots here, USB, SD, yeah, USB, SD, yeah, the normal things. The nice thing about this is that you have a large LCD screen. You can actually see the images on it. You can't edit it to do anything with it, but you can see you can store up to 750. So That conforms to what I do is that I have 3 different cameras. I have 3 different cameras in my Nikon and in my Canon. I have 2 card slots. I have 1 CF and 1 SD card slot, and I have 1 SD card slot in this, and I have 2 SD card slots in my Sony Leguria, or Canon Leguria. All this put together gives me for 2, 4, 6, 7 SD cards that actually can be in use one single day. So what I do is that on every single day, before I start editing, before I start importing him into Lightroom for doing something with him, I just back him up on the UDMI drive. That is so I have all the raw files, and then afterwards I import them on my computer and do my things there. So it's just a backup unit. Okay, this is basics. Extra batteries. Canon batteries, Nikon battery. Of course, I have also Fuji extra batteries. That will be nice. Filters. This is just an ND filter. I don't know if I'm gonna bring it. I just had it close by because of the solar eclipse the other day. But it's nice to have some filters. It depends a little bit on how you're planning to shoot. We are doing street photography primarily, so I'm anticipating we don't need a tripod. So unless otherwise told, I will not bring a tripod. Okay, another thing, even if I have backups and even if I have all these kind of things, bring extra SD cards, bring extra of those. Cleaning kits, lens cloths, lens pens, these kind of things, very, very nice to have. Okay, so now let's go to the last part. And that is what kind of lenses I'm planning to bring. This might change, but still it gives you a notion about how I'm gonna think. This is a 10-day trip. It's a focus on photography, and it's focused on taking good shots, and actually it's also the best shots you have will be presented in this store, which are actually as a part of the workshop, the course. So what I'm bringing. So actually for me it's a bit important to bring good quality gear. This is my Sigma 35 prime lens, which goes on my Nikon. And it needs no more introduction. I'm bringing the 35mm 1.4 prime instead of my 50mm because I only have my 50mm for Canon. This is the, if I'm feeling secure and if I'm going in a group or just wanna get shots, I probably will be using primarily my Nikon D810 with my 35. Probably. I'm not sure. This is my bread and butter lens. This is my Canon 24 to 70 2.8 zoom lens, which is a totally brilliant lens. It has the room of being the best zoom lens, period. And yeah, it doesn't need any more introduction. As a documentary, it is weather sealed. As a documentary lens, it's good build quality, all these kind of things, but as a documentary lens, this is the thing I want. So if I'm uncertain on what kind of images that I will shoot and how I will shoot them, I would probably use this lens. To complement 24-70, this is the other documentary, the other bread and butter lens for every Canon user out there. This is the Canon 24-70 2.8 with IS-L lens. The other one's also an L lens for that matter. This is heavy, it's sturdy, it's nice, and it's probably one of the best 24-70 lenses that you have out there. It is a magnificent focal length, and talking about what I mentioned a little bit earlier today about looking professional, a full frame Canon body with a 24-70 2.8 IS, you have the look. And now I'm a bit more down to the pointy narrow side, but it's two more lenses that actually I am considering bringing. That is because I know that we will be outside. One of the most important shots in my mental shot list, I haven't made my shot list yet, but one of the most important shots I have on my mental shot list is the shot of the iconic Mostar Bridge, which was one of the big symbols of the war where the fighting in Mostar was happening. This is this is one of the best lenses that I have. This is the Canon 16 to 35mm wide angle. I have wider angles. I have, for instance, this is 2.8 all the way through. I have wider angles such as a 12 to 24 from Sigma, or the 14mm from Samyang. But the problem is that they aren't of this quality. And I will be traveling with this, I will be using it, and I think this is the one I will bring. It hasn't turned me down yet. The last lens that I am thinking about bringing is this one. This is my Canon 8 to 15mm fisheye at f4.0. This is a quite absolutely magnificent piece of kit. It is a fisheye. I have barely gotten the point of it, but one of the things was that in some of the information that we had we have gotten in a trip dossier and so on, is that we are going to go into buildings like mosques, churches and these kind of things, museums, and especially being able to get a lot of, even if you have distortion in the image, narrow streets, these kind of things, fisheye can give you a spectacular effect. I'm liking that more and more, that kind of effect. It requires a little bit extra about how you actually shoot, and since it's just 4.0, demands a little bit extra on your part regarding to how you will use it. But actually for indoor photography, for indoor photography, for and yeah, more specialized photographing and these kinds of things, it's quite brilliant. Okay. So that is kind of what I have been. So that's kind of what I have been thinking. So to sum up, I have chosen myself 3 cameras plus a video camcorder. I have narrowed down my selection of lenses to 5 lenses, plus then the standard 35mm or 35mm equivalent on that one. Remember the auxiliary equipment like lens cloths and extra batteries and extra memory cards and filters and all these kind of things. Backup units, something to document sound and paper. So that is, to sum up, what probably will be in my camera bag when I'm going to Bosnia and Herzegovina. So I hope that you find this, maybe you can have a tip or two. This is my test. So take care and have an excellent day. Goodbye. Probably, bag when I'm going will be in my camera going to Bosnia and